Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CapEx Planning and Analytics webinar. My name is Jared Bialik. We're just going to give this a couple more minutes to have give some other people some time to join. So we'll get started here in a couple minutes. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining our CapEx Planning and Analytics webinar. My name is Jared Bialik. Today, we're going to go over our capital planning analytics prepackaged solution from Simplify. Give you a little bit of a background, and then we'll keep the presentation pretty brief and get into the solution. But to give you a little background, my name is Jared Bialik. I'm a client partner at Simplify Solutions. My background is in SAP, BW, BPC, and SAC. And when I say SAC, I mean SAP Analytics Cloud. I know many of you might be coming from other BPC solutions as well as SAC solutions, kind of looking to expand your SAC footprint. So whichever camp you're in, I think you're in the right place, because we're going to talk about how SAP Analytics Cloud can be used to properly plan CapEx and provide analytics, whether you're moving from BPC to SAC or you're already on SAC. I've worked across a variety of industries for a variety of clients, doing all kinds of planning, from capital, CapEx planning, HR planning, financial planning, and a lot of consolidations as well. Again, most of my background is in BPC. So very excited to work with the new SAP Analytics Cloud solution, both on the planning and the analytics side, and to bring this solution to you. So, some of my experience, trying to put it into this solution and kind of make it better. We're consistently taking client feedback and customer feedback to improve it. And we'll kind of go over the roadmap for this solution a little bit later. If you're not familiar with Simplify, I think many of you are probably existing Simplify clients or prospective clients. We're a SAP solution shop that focuses primarily on BPC, SAP Analytics Cloud, and group reporting. We report and deliver solutions primarily for the office of the CFO and CIO. We've been with the SAP Analytics Cloud solution from the beginning, working hand in hand with SAP in offering guidance to make the solution better, help it grow. We have a lot of experience and successful customers. Our primary company goal is 100% referenceable customers, and that's something that really drives our work and drives our solutions, so that we are delivering solutions and implementations that are both successful and maintainable. We rely on our customers for references and repeat business, and we've been very successful in doing that. So that's just a little bit of our background. Again, we have our solutions span all across the SAP spectrum, be it in BW, BPC, SAC, or group reporting. We do offer prepackaged solutions, implementation services, training, and staffing and managed services as well. We also have offices in Chicago and Montreal, but we're engaged globally, even in opportunities and projects on other continents as well. So one of our primary goals is to deliver more efficiency for SAC, more efficient implementation process and solution. And a lot of what we've had success with are our prepackaged solutions, either as standalone prepackaged solutions or as very advanced starting points to which we can then build some customizations on top of. So today we're going to talk about CapEx, but we do have prepackaged solutions for sales planning, professional services planning, revenue, HR planning, which you may have seen presented by our partner Eric, financial planning presented by our partner Beth. We have a whole box of prepackaged solutions. What we're seeing is customers really like this. They really like seeing knowing what they're going to get right out of the box, and then being able to kind of build upon their vision from there. And we work with them to kind of solidify that vision and make the solution even better. Our breadth of industries goes across manufacturing, retail, professional services, technology, but also utilities, oil and gas, and what have you. We're pretty widely experienced across many industries. If you're not familiar with SAP Analytics Cloud, this is a kind of one-stop shop tool that replaces BPC, but can work in conjunction with BPC. Gives you kind of one place, one application to both do your analytics, your planning, collaboration, predictive, all in one tool. So this is really something that us in the industry have really been asking for the last 10 years. SAP has done a great job of getting it together in one tool. It is a cloud solution, so we do see constant enhancements to this solution. One big one coming to customers in May, later this month, and then a big UI user interface update coming in August as well. So again, this is the solution that SAP is putting all their investment into, and the solution platform that we are building our prepackaged solutions. So it's kind of talking more about SAP Analytics Cloud, some of the key differentiators. If you are familiar with it already, you've experienced this, but then this is kind of, again, one-stop shop, very flexible, able to do planning and analytics all in one solution. As far as SAP strategy, again, they are looking at cloud as the strategic direction. So cloud first strategy. Customers requiring on-premise solutions would be directed to BPC, but I think what we're finding is that, with the proliferation of the cloud, a lot of customers are gaining comfortability with other cloud solutions, and hence, also the SAP Analytics Cloud is gaining more adoption because of that, because the industry as a whole and all enterprise solutions are now moving to the cloud. SAP Analytics Cloud has the ability to do both corporate high-level planning, but also detailed departmental planning. Very flexible tool. You can plan at a lot of different levels of granularity across different lines of business. What we're focusing on here, again, capital planning, but is part of a broader architecture that includes, often HR planning, revenue planning, expense planning, as well as high-level kind of P&L balance sheet planning, all part of an integrated solution. We build models for each of these solutions, and then we have integration touch points that connect them all. So specifically for CapEx planning, we are looking to build a solution that handles both the new project spend, new projects, as well as the assets that are created and the depreciation, putting that all together in one solution, able to do the planning and everything that goes with planning as far as collaboration, version management, driver-based calculations, up to the analytics, and flowing that through to your financials model, where you can see the impact on the P&L and balance sheet. And we will get into kind of some of the capabilities when we get into the solution demo. So again, solution goals for capital planning, and this solution in particular is to drastically reduce the time to build a CapEx planning solution. Have the ability to look at your projects and your assets by different attributes and properties. Also be able to look at them both individually or in groups, be able to sort them, look at them across different time ranges. A lot of this is native with the tool SAP Analytics Cloud, but we've tried to take advantage of that in our delivered solution. This is kind of a brief view of our prepackaged solution. You'll see we have our starting dashboard here to the left. We have a number of stories up and to the right. Some of our pre-delivered dimensions and data actions, all part of our prepackaged solution. So this is something that we're able to implement very quickly if you already have SAP Analytics Cloud, if you have a tenant installed. Some of the things that we're looking to build upon our solution kind of later this quarter, next quarter, and end of the year, just looking to kind of build out some of the reporting capabilities, make them a little bit more dynamic, enhance. This is will be an ongoing effort as we build reports, making them increasing the usability and user interface, reworking them for some of the upcoming changes, like the advanced model that's being deployed in May to customers, but already available in our system, as well as the UI interface that just became available in our system will be rolled out to customers in August. So we will be retooling the solution a little bit to work with the recent enhancements and capabilities of the SAP solution. So that is part of our roadmap as well as enhanced integration between SAP transactional system, S/4HANA, BW, and SAC. So some of our implementation approach options, we have the low config, which is straight out of the box. We're looking at about a 6-week time frame from that. Medium to high config, we're looking closer to 10 weeks for that. So low config would be very minimal changes. Medium to high config would be additional dimensions, additional reports, additional calculations that we're looking, and depending on the complexity and the number of those enhancements would dictate how much of an increase in the timeline that would be. We also have the option of building to spec. That could be anywhere from 2 to 3 months or beyond, depending on the complexity of your requirements. A sample timeline would, depending on if you already have SAC in place, some of the procurement time would then diminish if you already had a live tenant, already had other solutions in place. But then we would, depending on enhancements, would influence the design time, the forecast build, and then time for testing, deployment, and support. So this would be an example timeline that while, this is about 6 months in duration, but it's not necessarily 6 months of effort. So, I know that we kind of, some of the other times we're giving, 6 to 8 weeks, that's typically kind of the billable effort time. But, recognizing that people have, kind of your business might have schedules, this can be kind of compressed and expanded depending on business partner availability. Okay, so just kind of what's included, our models, our connectors, some of this has to be, again, depends on if you already have an SAC instance installed. If you do not, there would be additional time required to set that up and get the licenses, establish the connections to source systems. If you're doing that, however, we are able to connect to Excel, flat files, what have you. And then, we can add additional on top of our solution. We can add, services, additional services, training, customizations, and additional templates. Okay, I'm gonna kind of get out of here now. We're gonna go into the solution. And here we're going to open up the launch page. What's nice about SAC is that we have the ability to have guided process steps here to our left. So this is a launch page that you might have seen in one of the screens that I was presenting. We have the ability to add new projects, show a line of approvals. If we were to go in here, add new projects, it's going to open up a new window where I can view projects that are already existing in an initial state. We have added an instruction page on how to add new projects and kind of what drivers are important and their purpose. Again, this is kind of an end-to-end solution that, if you were to add new projects, everything from, is it a revenue generating project? If it is generating revenue, how much of that revenue, how much of it would be profit, how much of it would incur expenses, how much would you have to pay taxes on it? All those considerations we are bringing in to this solution, and these can be tweaked specific to your requirements. So if we were to look at adding a new project, it's very simple. So here's an existing project. All we would have to do is kind of click here, and we can add a new member. And as I'm adding a new member, and I'm just going to do a sample here. It's going to say, could not find this member. Click enter, and I'm able to add a new description, new ID, and this will generate the master data and generate a new project in the background. I'm going to cancel this. We're going to work with an existing project that I have to kind of show you all the different moving pieces here. So we see this this project here that I've entered has an initial projected investment of $800,000. It is budgeted, has a high priority. It's starting this year, starting in February, ending in 2021, ending in May, and has various levels of approval, right? You know, there are different, if you were to look at the instructions, you know, there's kind of a key for, you know, the level of approval and the level of priority. So if we were to enter this project, we would then, our next step would be to add project drivers. So, you know, these drivers could be, you know, based off of a projected investment of $800,000. We can add things like an internal rate of return target, weighted average cost of capital, day sales outstanding, all you can see here. And these are going to impact our, you know, NPV and discount cash flow calculations down the line. So as we're changing these, we would then process this and seed our discount cash flow drivers, which would then kind of build upon additional calculations, you know, for P&L and balance sheet. So after we enter our new project information, driver information, we can come to this new asset additions form. So this is, you know, once we have the project, when is it going to, you know, once the project is completed and implemented, becomes an asset, and we are then putting in information to determine the depreciation rules and calculations. So as I'm looking at the asset input, we're just going to scroll down and make sure that we have our project selected. And here we can see, if I just scroll down, I'm going to see the $800,000 projected investment. And then I'm going to see basically the project completing in June, but start to be depreciated in July. So if we were to look at our instructions here, we can see that we, as part of the prepackaged solution, have 3 different methods of depreciation, and they are, you know, designated by 1, 2, or 3. So if we have 1, it's a straight line. If we look here, we have a straight line depreciation, 2 double declining balance, 3 units of production. So in my example here, I have 1,000 units of production. I've indicated that based on depreciation method 3, which is units of production, I then spread those units across 5 years. So I should see, you know, kind of a even depreciation across those 5 years based on the units of production. If I were to change this, I could recalculate it and have the depreciation be proportionally changed across the different months. Some other aspects that we have as part of this solution, if we were to look at, we do have an approval workflow built in. This is both kind of a security-based and kind of workflow-based solution. If we're to look here at the approval status, we're able to see specific information by project. One of the enhancements that we're looking to do is kind of build this type of reporting so that you can see attributes of multiple projects at once. But if we're to look here, I can change this to the new project that I created. We can see our projected investment, all of our drivers, net present value of cash flows, and then I can make commentary here on the side. So this commentary is time-stamped. You can keep track of it. A great way of, keeping track of, individual contributions as this project kind of moves through the approval stage. So here we then, based on the project summary business case, we do have a data action here that can move the project to an approved status or other status as well. So we can, choose our status and move that project accordingly. So all this, just built in as part of the solution. If we're to look at our security and approvals, we can set up the approval teams using users, assigning them to teams, and then being able to give them access to different project statuses so that only certain members based on cost center or project status combinations would be able to move those projects into various stages, final draft, approved, or implementation complete. We can also lock specific data regions. So based on these driving dimensions that we select, based on version, date, cost center, project status, we're able to put in different restrictions to allow people to either view or change the status of these projects. Another capability of this solution is the ability to add tasks into calendars. So we can schedule based on forecast cycles. We can put in events in a shared calendar in the SAP Analytics Cloud tool, which would then send out reminders, emails to people about upcoming events, scheduled events, and then be able to have a task list available immediately to them to proceed through the planning process. So after we've added our assets, we can look at our project asset listing. And hopefully some of you can stay a little bit longer as we go over. But here we can look at different projects, and we can look at all projects, or we can look at projects individually. So if I were to just look at my project, I could then see the project listing. I could see that everything that I've included for investment has been transferred over to an asset and is being depreciated. So I have a 0 variance here. We have a little check here, project investment should equal entered assets. So this check for this particular project checks out. We can add validations. There's a couple other SAC capabilities that we can add to kind of run these checks either in a reporting type format, or to, as we move projects and run calculations, we can do checks to make sure that keep data integrity in check. So here we can, calculate depreciation, which again would be based off those parameters that we entered in earlier. I'm just going to go back to my main screen here. Again, nice having this kind of home page that acts as your kind of table of contents, or your project, your guiding steps here to kind of take you through the whole planning process. So if I were to look at the depreciation schedule, I could see from the project asset listing which projects have been properly planned against for their assets. I then calculate the depreciation. We have different categorizations for asset classes, projects, across different cost centers, a lot of different ways that we can slice and dice this data. So if we're looking here, I again can just select my project. And just kind of go over to our 2021. And then we can see, based on the units of production, I'm going to have a pretty even depreciation schedule. To split the 800,000, we had 1,000 units, 200 units per month. So we see a pretty even declining balance in the residual book value, splitting that 20% each down until it gets to zero. Okay, so this is a nice way to kind of see your depreciation expense and your reduction in book value, all in one sheet. And then these calculations are then being kind of moved forward to the P&L and balance sheet. So if we were to look, for many clients, we would have depreciation assets that have already been started to be depreciated. We are able to bring in those, either connecting to S/4HANA or SAP ECC. We can bring those in and load them, using our data plan, our data management tools. So we can bring them into our model. This is actually a new view for those of you who it might not have rolled out yet. But we're able to kind of bring that and connect to S/4HANA, bring in those existing depreciated assets and that depreciated expense. So either connecting to S4 or loading through Excel. Next, we can look at our projected spend analysis. And here we have a date range filter, so I can increase the date range, kind of bring in the new assets that new projects that I've planned for 2021. As I'm looking across, again, we have a lot of different chart options available, and some numeric point indicators as well to kind of show you, just some key KPIs, for CapEx spending. We're able to look at this. This is by asset class. We're then able to look at it by project. And here we have, filters on the left here that we can filter this by entity or by projects on projects within IT, manufacturing facilities, what have you. So very dynamic analytic capabilities there. And then we have the ability to look at monthly projections. So this is filtered to 1 month, June. This is the assets that we purchased. This was our 800,000, and then we see our monthly planned depreciation expense. This is across all projects. We can see a nice chart here that kind of takes us through the end of 2021. So a lot of different analytic capabilities. Again, this is something that we're consistently enhancing according to our roadmap. And then next we can look at some of the calculations that we put in for our drivers, our working capital calculations, and some of our calculating discounted cash flows, what have you. So here we can look at kind of our spend across projects, and this is really kind of breaking down. And again, I'll just choose one project because that kind of keeps the numbers simple. But we can see, throughout running our calculations using the drivers that we had, our internal rate of return target, some of our average cost of capital, we are going to get these following numbers, impacts to our operating income and our expenses. So again, fully integrated solution. We would then send this to our financials model using data calculation or the data action here to send it from our CapEx model to our financials model. And then we also have kind of an approval. If we're to run this data action, we can then also, what we saw earlier was basically a project approval status. But here we're talking about kind of the overall CapEx forecast. We can then have different versions set up for different levels of approval. Okay. So that concludes my the CapEx presentation. This kind of runs it entirely through the CapEx model. We can come through here. If anyone has any questions, happy to send them this deck. I'm going to put my email up here, jarrett.bialik@simplifysolutions.com. If you are coming to us as an existing Simplify customer and you already have a client partner and I am not your client partner, please reach out to them as well if you already have their email address. That could be John, Beth, or Eric. And we can happy to set up kind of a one-on-one further in-depth demo. Also be able to work with maybe some specific use cases that you have or specific data sets and kind of show you what the solution would look like with your data. So again, thank you very much for your time. I hope you found this interesting. I hope maybe it generated some thoughts or ideas about what you'd like to see. Even if you have any suggestions on things that you would like to see in CapEx planning or analytics, feel free to, again, send us a note. Happy to hear from you. Okay. And I don't know if, I don't see any messages here. So I'm going to end the presentation. But again, please, I'm going to leave this up here. Take a screenshot if you want, and just let us know if there's anything that we can, any questions we can answer, or any additional insight that we can provide. All right, thank you again very much. Hope you enjoy the rest of the week. Thank you.